But what I thought would be fun, rather than authors when they read their work share their process and such. So when I'm reading authors' work for a convention, I thought, well, wouldn't it be fun to share some of my process? The lie to that is that I honestly don't go through the type of process that I'm outlining. It's more me trying to put in linear form what my brain seems to, be doing fairly intuitively and automatically. So the first thing that I want to just identify when creating voices for characters, the number one thing to keep in mind is consistency and steadiness. It doesn't matter, in my opinion, and the industry plays this out pretty well too, it doesn't matter how accurate the voice is as long as it's consistent within itself. And that's the number one job of the narrator, to tell the story, not to necessarily develop characters or create characters. The author's done that. In fact, the author's not only done that, the author has very unsubtly spelled it out for the narrator, because all the narrator's doing is reading what the author wrote. What I'd like to share with you is The Second Life of Ryan Hunt, Book 2, Sacrifices, by an author named Gerrit S. Overeem. And the character's name is LaRue. And he's middle-aged. This is how the author described him in the sheet. He's middle-aged, he's cocky, he's egotistical, he's psychotic, he's deadly, he's arrogant. He's all about himself, and the author was saying that as he was creating the character, he was thinking, okay, how can I show that somebody is very, very smooth, but also very psychotic? And he decided to employ a device, which is that the character is constantly talking to a clown puppet called Mr. Jingles. And he gave me a YouTube link for Louis Jourdan, and from the movie No Minor Voices. Now, that's a very high, reedy, bright, and punctuated and articulate voice. And then also in terms of inflection and emphasis, there's a little bit of that Christopher Walken, kind of thing, where suddenly there's a high squeak, that'll just jolt you, almost like electric shocks. Slightly soft palate, slightly nasal. General position of the face that I tend to occupy with this one is a half smile and constantly flex eyebrows, whether they're down or up, and the eyes are always wide. And that just seems to be the position that my face wants to be in. I like compliments, said Frederick, sitting up taller in his chair. Please continue. I need you to retrieve an item from the Otkey Corporation headquarters in the Gliese star system to kill a human named Ryan Hunt. Your payment will be substantial, but failure will not be tolerated. We do like high-paying jobs, but I'm afraid we do not take kindly to threats. It's with much regret I must decline this business proposition. The black circle was silent for a second. Then, without warning, a black tentacle reached out and sliced the head off the mime holding the box. The head thudded onto the floor, followed by the body and the box, which continued emanating the black circular cloud. Let me be a little clearer. You don't have a choice. Frederick pursed his lips as he gazed at the dead mime. There is a joke in this somewhere about a waste of a mime, he said with a laugh. And the tension in the room subsided. Well then, it appears we accept the job. This one happens to be Lovecraft-inspired, male-male, science fiction, action, thriller, romance. And it's what I was asking the author about her process creating the next character. And she talked about how it's so inspired by Lovecraft and also needing something in this story beyond people's comprehension and to give it a certain cosmic dread. Again, Lovecraft, right? But it has to be embodied. So it has to be a huge being reaching out from beyond the stars and be inherently terrifying. It's also something that cannot be stopped with conventional weapons. It's inherently magical. So it needs to be alien, cold, relentless, so that when they do defeat it, there's a sense that it could have easily gone the other way. So, okay, what's this character's MO? it seems to me like the experience of humanity flows through this guy like an oxygen machine that he's constantly reloading. There's just this wheeze of the human experience, human suffering, human delight that he's just... it's just flowing through him. And what I specifically felt like I was channeling with this one was Ralph Fiennes in his Clash of the Titans character. "How did you get out?" Dane asked the creature, holding himself very still. He remembered long ago reading advice that one didn't run from a predator because they would see that person as prey and chase. And there was really nowhere Dane could run to. It was unnerving to watch this creature smile with those open holes for eyes. "You let me out." Dane was stunned for a moment, then shook himself. "What? No, we didn't let you out." The creature spread his arms to the side. "How else do you think I am here now?" "Miss Darnley must have..." "Who?" The creature cocked his head to the side. "It doesn't even know who she is. Or was. She worshipped this thing, and it doesn't even know she existed." Dane catalogued all the things they had done to the sarcophagus. But he could think of nothing that would release the creature early. They hadn't even had the chance to fully strengthen the spells after Ferdinand had marked the ground with mandalas. Dane froze as he thought of those. They had been swept away by the police. Could that simple act of cleaning them away have snapped the final restraining spells on the creature? Though he said none of this out loud, the creature smiled again and nodded. "The artisan's spells replaced the weak ones that held me inside. When the spells were swept away, all I needed was a sacrifice. I reached out to the weak minds around me, and they did what I needed, allowing me to drain the final remnants of the ash's power that bound me to the sarcophagus." And that's from The Bodyguard Artifact, Book 3 by X Aratare. There's Queen and Lyra. And Lyra gives the impression of gentleness and kindness, but in reality she agrees with Koval that the protection and safety of the joined worlds is paramount. So, okay, Queen, kind. Again, we'll go with the trope of regal British, just to go with that sort of, that classical. When we do classical and we do English language, we tend to go with British. Okay, so what is somebody who cares more about the fate? And I started to think about the Reverend Mother in David Lynch's version of Dune. He's awake. He's listening to us. Good, human. This is the gum to bar type of thing. So we've got sort of me up in my soft palate to do a little bit of the reedy voice. It's British. It's RP British, received pronunciation British. So to keep myself anchored in that, I form an oval in the back of my mouth, just imagining an oval and working around that oval. So there's not too much ooh and there's not too much oh. There's just an oval there, and everything is sliding down to the lower lip. And there's a little bit of a clipped quality. It's not the jolt, so the Christopher Walken jolt of the previous character that I did. But there's that clipped bit. I find that I'm thinking with my nose and articulating with my lips and my teeth. And also with RP British, there's very much a sense of starting up somewhere with a high-minded idea and going down, and starting up and going down. And then with the word of emphasis, you can insert about 5 syllables if you are pushing on a word. So there's a little bit of that there too. The Queen lifted her chin. "The king will not allow you to leave Othon with that child." "Is that so?" David asked, non-committal. She nodded. "You have a strong position, David Toman of Earth. My son Lon holds you in high regard, and Vel will obey you. He respects you, yes, but he must also know that he is very, very lucky to be with you. If he displeases you, his next situation will inevitably be worse. He will not risk it. You hold the balance. Order him to give up his first child and end this pregnancy. King Koval will reward you greatly. Vel has Nehu rune now, and he will bear it for the rest of his life. You could scarcely wish for a more humble and obedient slave. David recoiled. He could not hide his shock at her matter-of-fact tone. Didn't you give birth to him? He asked, and the queen's face darkened. I am a queen first, she said. Everything else comes second, even motherhood. Othard controls the fate of dozens of planets, billions of lives, provides peace and prosperity throughout the worlds. Do you think one life can be set against that balance? Even the life of my own child? That's from Prince's Fate by Caroline Gibson. It's late. Thank you all so much for coming. I like to end my session saying thank you, and I hope that my voice and your ears meet again real soon. Thank you.